How are you all doing? Assalamu alaikum. My name is Darakshan. I'm filling in for the amazing Amani, who couldn't be here because she had a last minute emergency. So she's definitely missing you all. But this is our amazing May version of the Muslim Girl. And Muslim Girl is this amazing platform that's really about amplifying the voices of Muslim women and also bringing attention to issues that Muslim women across the globe face, including in the United States. And we've been having a monthly Muslim Girl room where we bring on amazing Muslim women and also some Muslim men, but mainly amazing Muslim women who are doing incredible work around from anywhere from gender-based violence to criminal justice to leadership to business to entrepreneurship. And so we started from November, and this month we have the amazing Marwa with us here, who is the founder of Vela Scarves. And so we're really excited to have one and have an intimate discussion with her about what the impetus was for her to start this, how she really got it off the ground, what are some other things that other Muslim women can learn from her, what about Muslim women's fashion. And so we're going to talk all about that. You can also tune into Twitter and follow the hashtag MGMarwa and put in your comments, put in your questions all throughout. I'll be going through them and we'll be asking Marwa this amazing sort of questions and however. So I'm going to turn it over to the amazing Marwa right now. So if you could just introduce and talk a little bit about yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. My name is Marwa Atik. I am 24 years old and I started Vela when I was 18. I currently reside in Orange County, California, born and raised, and I went to FITM and had my degree in apparel management. And I'm currently just working full-time with Vela with my sister, who's also the co-founder, Tasneem Atik, and we're just working really hard to get beautiful scarves made for you girls.
Well, that's amazing. No, that's really incredible. Could you talk a little bit more about how did this idea come about? Right now, we talk about that Muslim women's fashion is like $1 billion industry, and a lot of times the people making money out of this are not necessarily Muslim women themselves. So where did this idea come from, and what kind of gave you the inspiration to be like, we're gonna do this and we're just gonna launch it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I feel like with being an entrepreneur, either you think of the idea or the idea comes to you. And for me, the idea came to me. I was honestly not really looking towards fashion necessarily as a career. I was in Cal State Fullerton. I was in my bio lecture classes, and instead of focusing on the lectures, I would sketch a lot. And then I noticed that the sketches that I made were scarves, and they had different techniques to them that were out of the ordinary. And one time I was studying with my friend Noura, and she noticed the sketches on my notes. She's like, why do you sketch a lot? And then she paid closer attention to the sketches that I was making. She realized, oh, these things are actually pretty cool. Have you ever tried making one? And then so we kind of just got together, and we started off as something for fun. And from there I got the positive feedback that I received. It was just a huge amount of feedback that me and her both got through Facebook, because it was it was 2008, I believe, when we first did it. So the smart thing to do was have a Facebook page, and then from there it just expanded just greater and greater, and from there I realized that I truly did have something. I knew that when I first made it, it was so different and it was so out of the ordinary. So I realized, okay, people are either gonna love this or they're gonna completely hate it. And then something that happened that everyone loved it. They loved the different trimmings and the techniques that I did for Vela, and the fact that Vela had a certain tie to it, and I think it was just beautiful all together. So honestly, yeah, it was just the right moment at the right time, and we just decided from then on, me and my sister, to just do it as a business and have it structured and everything.
That's really cool. So you can talk a little bit about the name and what does the name mean and what does it symbolize? Yeah,
so the name Vela is plural for veils, and it's the Latin root. So Vela is pronounced velum in Latin. So velum is veil, and then Vela is veils. So Vela is the plural of veil. So it was just sweet and simple. Honestly, when I was trying to think of a name for it, I wanted it to have meaning. So what I did was so simple, dictionary.com, and I'm like, let's see what veil means. And then I got the actual root word, and then I'm like, Vela just rolls off the tongue, and it's so beautiful, and just keep it simple. Just it's about the veil. So
yeah, no, it sounds really high class fashion as well. Like that's what I think about when I saw the name. So it's really amazing.
Really? Thank you.
Yeah, it really does. I love it. And I also love the website. It's really gorgeous. So I wanted to ask you, and you kind of got into this a little bit, where you were talking about, you made this Facebook page, and you kind of took a really huge risk in many ways, right? To be like, oh, I'm gonna put my idea of kind of like what your passion is out there for like Muslim audiences and whomever. Can you talk about like what that risk felt like, and then afterwards, like how did the Facebook page, like what did it take? Because I mean, to build a base with a Facebook page takes a lot of work. Social media is a lot of work.
It is.
You could talk about that, I think, for other Muslim women or others who are looking at this, like how to put our creativity into action. I think a lot of people can learn from you on that.
Okay. I think it was just mainly, it was half and half. Half of it, I was kind of unsure. I was scared. I didn't know exactly how the audience would react to it. And then the other side of me was just very excited. And I think, like, when you have something and when you have an idea, you should feel very comfortable about it. Like, your intention should be very clear. And just, like, I feel like inside I knew what I was doing. Like, it felt right. It felt comfortable. I was in my element. So when you feel like you're in your element, naturally you're going to be, like, you're going to know exactly what tactics to make in order to create a page and how to get people to want to be a part of it and join it. The most important thing if you want to start off with anything, whether in business or venture out in anything that you choose to do, you have to just have a niche. And I think with Vela, we had a very different niche. Like the fact that we were designing the scarf in a certain way and tying it in a certain way, it was just very different. So we started off with that. So if you market your niche to people and it's different enough, then I think you're going to gain a good audience. And yeah, and I think from there, honestly, it wasn't necessarily fear anymore. It was just, okay, I gotta get going and I gotta do this right and I gotta keep rolling and keep doing the right steps. And then from there, that's when through all of that, you kind of just do networking. Half of it is modeling off of how other companies do it, but also how you can be different. That's the key. Like, what can you do to set yourself apart? Because if you're just trying to be like the same other fashion bloggers out there or the same other companies, clothing companies out there, it's not going to set you apart. You need to find something that sets you apart, and you yourself, you're a different person, So everyone has their own kind of sort of talent that they can put into it, and I think that's is what really going to make something grow.
Well, that's awesome. So in terms of you're a woman, you're a Muslim woman, how does that play into being an entrepreneur, being like the creator behind all of this? I mean, what are some of the pros? What are some of the challenges? What are in terms of even if you're taking this as a business plan to someone else to increase your profits or whatever, what are some of the things that you've experienced? I think that could be helpful for the women who are paying attention, but then also specifically as a Muslim woman, then as a hijabi Muslim woman, what are the challenges you have faced?
Honestly, I always get this question. It's a very common question, how as a woman and as a Muslim woman, what challenges have you faced? To be honest, me personally, either I don't see it, either I'm a very oblivious person, I don't see it, or I don't consider it as a challenge. I use the fact that I'm a woman and the fact that I wear hijab, I use it as a positive energy. And I feel like when you walk out the door and you're so just confident in yourself and you're confident in the scarf that you have on, naturally you're just going to get positive people around you and who see it in a positive light. Honestly, I don't think it ever stopped me from getting any type of job. Something so simple, when I was a teenager, I really wanted to work at Urban Outfitters, and it never once crossed my mind, oh, they can't accept me because of my scarf, or maybe they don't want me because of my scarf, or maybe the other girl has a higher chance of getting the job instead of me, because I walked in and I knew, listen, I'm going to be this person and I'm very different and I'm very determined and I'm very motivated. I never had any boundaries. If I try to think about any types of boundaries that set me apart and as being a woman, I guess I would say, some people try to kind of underestimate you, because when I started this, I was only 18 years old. So being a young woman, they're like, oh, wait, what's this chick doing? I was very young. But I just feel like I just kept going. And for me, as long as you just have like positivity, I think it can just keep like motivating you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of a tough question for me to answer because I don't feel that way at all.
No, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I think that, everybody has different experiences, and it's important to hear that from you. And you mentioned like a few times in terms of like your drive and your positivity. Where do you get that positivity from? Is it like your sister? Is it like the women you surround yourself with? Is it just like the work drives you? What is just like that keeps you going and doing all this beautiful work?
Honestly, it's my customers. It's the people that follow me and that join me in everything. And I think like just that and seeing the actual feedback means a lot to me. And then I just feel like I love to hear personal stories that all of my Vela girls have for me, like when they wear a certain scarf or how it made them feel a certain way. It creates that drive. In the beginning, when obviously Vela was very small and I didn't have enough followers or that much of a group that supported me, I chose to surround myself around positive people. Mm-hmm. When I started Vela, I was kind of living on, like, I just finished high school and I went into college, and that's, I think, a time for a girl where she's very confused. She doesn't really know what she's kind of doing. So I kind of, in that moment, I was very independent and I was thinking a lot for myself. And on top of that, I was surrounded by positive people. So that being, it's people who lift you up instead of bringing you down. Not necessarily I'm relying on them for my positivity, but I'm using their energy as a source of to keep me like motivated and to keep me going. And I think that enough is a drive. And the fact that like I knew I had something special, I knew that Vela was something very special, and I knew that it could go very far, and it's not just something for me, it can reach out to like girls everywhere and that can connect with me because we have this common interest with fashion and wearing the hijab. So I feel like all of those aspects just put into one just created so much passion in me and so much of a drive that I kept going. I didn't care about the hours. I didn't care about how hard it was going to be. At that point, you're just numb to it. Like, you're numb to the hard work that you're doing. You're numb to the countless hours. I'm sure you can relate, like when you first start off something, like you don't realize, oh my God, I just literally put in this many hours. Did I seriously just stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning finishing this scarf and then I have a final in like 3 hours? Like, you don't think about that because you're just so into it. You're so, like, you have to be happy about it. You have to enjoy what you're actually doing. You can't say, oh, I just need to do this because I have to do this because everyone else is doing it, Like, when I did it, no one, like, essentially, like, I feel like back in 2008, the whole, like, Muslim media, it was nothing like it was right now. Now you have Instagram and you can easily tap into the Muslim market. Back then, it was something completely different that no one really would kind of try to do, and there were not as many people doing it. Mm-hmm. So that's the key, just not being afraid to do something different. Like, there might be something out there right now that is so different that we don't even know about, but someone out there is just thinking this amazing idea. And I mean, all power to them. I'm all for it.
Well, I'm going to put a Twitter question to you, actually. And this person is Shub26, and they say they're a business student, and they're asking, what were some of the challenges you had starting the business, creative and from a standpoint? They're saying they're a business student. So in terms of what are some of the challenges that you faced?
Just knowing all the legal aspects. You just have to make sure that you're on check with everything because that can literally get to you. So make sure like you register it as a legal company. As a business aspect, obviously, if you're thinking about starting a company. But in terms of everything else, you just have to do the right form of research. There's whether any type of industry that you plan on being a part of in your business, you need to research that specific industry because not all are the same. Media is different than fashion. Fashion is different than I don't know, something else like law if you want to open up your own practice or something. So every business venture is different. So I think doing as much as research as possible, just to keep yourself educated on that, and then that terms like creative wise, like rephrase that question again to me. Sorry.
Sure. So the person was saying, what are some of the challenges you had starting the business?
The challenges.
Yeah,
Okay.
the challenges, creative and from a business standpoint. So I think you were speaking about some of the
Okay.
legal
Yeah.
aspects.
So, I thought of the perfect one. Thank you for rereading that.
Absolutely.
So, one of the most difficult challenges that a fashion company apparel faces is how you have all these ideas, and sometimes this idea can be so amazing, but cost-wise, it's not effective. So, how can you make that design still just as beautiful, which with eliminating some of the trimmings or some of the design aspects of it? Because obviously, one extra seam or one extra pleat on this could charge, okay? And then you have to be cost effective but also efficient in knowing that you're still being creative to your true brand. So I think that's a big challenge in terms of you have to really think outside of the box. You have to constantly be thinking about saving money. I mean, every cent counts. Going from 20 cents to a label, from 10 cents to a label makes the biggest difference too. What people don't realize is that the apparel industry, it's very tough in terms of like manufacturing and product development, because with that, in order to create something successful, your markup has to be like the least markup. Okay, 50% is like considered a hobby. So when I went to FITM, when we had to do all of our papers and we had to do all of our marketing analysis and cost analysis, we had to do the markup at 70%, because anything below that, they always say, is just a hobby. So that is its greatest challenge on its own. So just like finding that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know this is a question I've been dying to ask you, and I've seen some other people on Twitter also dying to ask you this question, is in terms of the Muslim community's response. Like, how has the Muslim community responded to you? And some people are interested in knowing that definitely, mashallah, you've had tremendous success, and like all of us are very proud of you. But has there been a point where you have faced any backlash from maybe certain segments of the Muslim community around, like, you know, being a Muslim woman, a hijabi Muslim woman in the fashion industry, or around, like, you know, all those points? Because I think that for so many, even for myself, there's sometimes this like backlash you get is about like, who are you to claim you're a Muslim woman when you're not doing X, Y, and Z as it says with their version of religion, right? And so like the policing that happens around women's choices. So have you ever faced any backlash because of your business, or like, and how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'd be kidding if I said that I've never faced any backlash. Of course, everyone faces a certain amount. In terms of the hijab and the scarf, I think when it first came out, we kind of had some backlash, but as of right now, we kind of don't, because we created such a strong group, and there's so many people supporting Vela that you don't really hear the small noises at all. But I think it's just so important. What it comes down to is like, people just need to realize that like I don't really agree with the whole like backlash and lashing out on others when there's so much more we need to pay attention to. Like we're in the end on the same side. So instead of focusing on what I'm doing that's necessarily wrong, like we should probably use that energy and not make it so negative, and then focus on, like, so far, like, not only is the media bashing this, but now we're bashing each other, and I'm totally against that. I don't think that's right at all, and we really need to have an actual like talk about it, and people really do need to like realize that the Muslim community, especially with like girls, they tend to be very catty or in your way, like backlashing, whether it's with like a small comment, or they try to make it very technical, or they try to tweet you and then they try to make people join against you or something like that. Like, I would say that I experienced it all, but again, I'm a very oblivious person, so honestly I don't even see it until like my friends text me like, oh, this is going on. I'm like, what? Really? And like I have no idea. So in terms of how I deal with it, like for me, I like to do a personal route. Like if someone thinks something of me, or they like say something negative about me, I tend to privately message them, or I just give them my number personally for me and them to kind of engage and talk about it, because it is a one-on-one, you know, topic, and I think it's very wrong for a person to publicly bash another person when it can be so much more effective, and two people can listen to one another without an audience, because when you have an audience open, you tend to get, oh, I'm going to say the bigger statement and the harsher words and this and that. So in terms of how Vela chooses to actually deal with it, as a company standpoint, we don't really say much. We just keep quiet, and hopefully with our intentions, they eventually become clear over time, and people know that, you know, we're a company that just represents, you know, positive Muslim women that are independent and that are working hard, but are also in tune with their fashion sense. So over time, they will realize that. So we don't really engage in that type of stuff. Be really, really going at it. I'm like, you know, let's just talk about it like one-on-one, because it's not necessary for us to go back and forth, you know, in social media and stuff like that.
No, that's really awesome and amazing, and you're definitely modeling, you know, how to be a leader in that way. I also just wanted to put out for everybody watching that you can send us comments and questions using MG Marwa as the hashtag, but you can also post to the Facebook page any questions that you have, or also send them via Google as well. If you look at the chat button, you can see at the bottom you can send in your question. So that's different ways that if you have any questions to ask Marwa, we can put it in. So Marwa, there's another question for you that is from Fatma, where what they're saying is like, what advice would you have for Muslim girls going into the field of fashion and their position in the media?
Okay. I don't know. Position in media. I think I kind of like already kind of explained it. Like in terms of how you're perceived by the media, don't think about that. I think just model yourself as best as you can be. Just make sure that model yourself as best as you can be, and also make sure that you're still modest, not only just in the way you look, but character. Character is very important. It's, you know, I feel like it's only 20% the way you look, and then like the rest of it is just honestly like the 80% is just like relied on your character and how you handle being under pressure. So in terms of the media, I feel like naturally if you just present a very positive vibe and a very positive energy and you're very confident with yourself, you don't need to worry about that, because it will reflect tremendously. You know, like you will be the brightest one inside of the actual room. And then so tips on how to get into the fashion industry. It's very small, so even though it seems very big, everyone knows everyone. So the number one key is networking, networking, networking. I cannot like stress it enough. When I went to FITM, it was like our only motto. Like every class we went into, how are you guys networking? I feel like in media and fashion, it's very important, because it's not about what you know, it's about who you know and how well you can get around that. That was something I really had to train myself to do, because I'm not into like randomly just starting up a conversation and doing small talk. Like I can do it, but me personally, I'm such a private person, I tend to just stay to myself. So that was something that I really had to train myself as an actual skill, to learn how to network the right way, because you might have a contact and your other friend that you rub shoulders with will have another contact. So it's like, I'll give you this contact if you give me that contact. So it's just a lot of, you know, it's a lot of stepping stones. Like you have to create stepping stones for yourself. And also what's really important is that you cannot rush anything. You really need to take your time, and you need to research, and everything's a skill, you know, like the athlete doesn't run his marathon just off of like, you know, one jog. Like he really has to train, and it's months and months of training. So if it takes him to train just for one day and you have to train for like your whole career, you really need to be open as like an actual student. And even right now, I still, even though I graduated 2 years, oh wow, that's so long, but I still consider myself learning. Like I don't really consider, like I still consider myself don't even want to call myself a designer. I'm still like a creative director. I feel like I don't even deserve that title of a designer and this and that, because I feel like there's still so much to be like learned from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really great advice. So in terms of like the question I have for you is, you know, you're talking about skills and you're definitely a student and you're like, you know, you consider yourself a creative director, not really a designer. But what are some recommendations you would have for people in terms of like some hard skills, right? So what I mean by hard skills is like design courses, or do you think someone should go to like official schooling for this if they want to come into the, you know, the fashion industry? Are there specific kind of like skills that you're like, yeah, everybody who's coming into this should have baseline this as they walk into the skill?
Yeah. Definitely. I think interning is very important. You don't necessarily have to go to school for it, but it is recommended because again, it's the perfect opportunity to network. And obviously, when you do go to school, you gain some skills on stuff that you never really thought that you could do. if, for an example, when I went to school, it was so necessary for us to learn Photoshop and Illustrator, and I'm like, why do I need to learn this? Like, I can just hire a graphic designer to do all my stuff. But then after doing the classes, I realized, like, no, they teach you all these classes. That way, you know the techniques that it takes to make it. So, example, I did a pattern making class. So even though I technically don't know how to make this extravagant pattern piece for my garment, I know what it takes. I know how the blocks are set. I know what seam lines need to be made, and that better it helps you communicate with the other person more when you want to be that like entrepreneur. And in terms of like classes, I'm trying to think. I mean, the one that I loved the most was learning how to do graphic design. I feel like that really benefited me, because when you decide, inshallah, in the future to work overseas with different factories, you need to do tech packs and spec sheets. That also you gotta kind of learn and take a course in, and that uses a lot of Photoshop and a lot of Illustrator to get your point across clearly, because you want your design to be like a clear vision as possible for the other person to produce it for you. And also interning, I know a lot of people that their best way of learning is just through firsthand and like actually knowing it. Like that's how I learned generally most of my stuff. So technically in the beginning you can call myself an intern for Vela. You know, like I learned a lot of my mistakes and I learned a lot of stuff from my own company. So I was essentially interning for my own company. So you learn a lot hands-on, and you also learn a lot through the books.
So we have an interesting question for you, actually coming in from Muslim Girl, and so they're interested in, what do you think is the state of Muslim girl women's fashion, and what do you think about it, and what do you think about the future direction of it? How do you see its growth happening?
Okay. I see it growing a lot, and it's growing fast. And if you pay attention to a lot of if you're like doing any window shopping, you see modesty being pertained a lot in a lot of the stores. And if you pay attention to, you know, Paris Fashion Week, you notice that a lot of the latest designers are doing more box cuts and more modest looks. Chanel recently came out with their line of blazers that was just a lot more boxy. And there's a lot of other designers that are doing looks that are just long and modest and graceful. So I think that slowly, so what happens is when things are in Fashion Week, it takes about 1.5 years for it to become a trend in normal people, atmosphere, media type thing. So so during that time, within that year and a half time frame, you're going to see a lot of things changing. Like when I walk into certain windows, one time I was out at like a Bloomingdale's store, and there was like 3 mannequins, then they had like the turban wrapped. Or I was just like window shopping, and I saw a lot of Middle Eastern influences with cross-stitching and embroidery done on some garments. So I see there's a big potential there, and I feel like we're making a voice necessarily. I feel like the media in Dubai is also helping a lot with that too, because if you think about it, like there's so much marketing and advertising about Dubai and how amazing Dubai is and this and that. And for us, like Middle Easterns, were like, oh, it's just like a super modernized country that literally only has like 10% locals, and the other 90% are like international workers. But if you think about it overall, the normal, you know, American eye, like media, when they look at Dubai, they think of Middle Eastern women and Muslim women, and I think that is a positive outlook on us and what we can do. So I think that, I mean, there is, like, it's so much bigger than definitely what it was like 5 years ago.
So so I have actually a question for you as well. I'm sure you've seen in like the social media realm, what is her name? I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna mess it up, but it's Kim Kardashian's little sister, who, you know, who supposedly wore, you know, like really a shalwar kameez, or like the kind of fashion that like Muslim women have been wearing for a while, which is like layering pants with like long tunics or long t-shirts, and yet the media gave her so much credit as if like she started it. What do you think about like things like co-opting fashion in the ways in which like Muslim women have been doing this for a while, but then like some celebrity comes over, or like when they're taking shots being niqabis as if like this is being a Muslim woman is an accessory? Like, what do you think about all of that?
I mean, they're basically watering it down. What it comes down to, I feel like with fashion, it's hard because fashion, sometimes it can be like a beautiful thing, but other times like because it has so much meaning to a certain to a certain group, and because it represents something to like another group, and then fashion takes it, and then this normal consumer just sees it, oh, it's just another fashion statement piece, let me just wear it out, and they kind of don't really realize what they're kind of doing. I don't think necessarily, in my opinion, I don't think they kind of do it on purpose. I think they're very oblivious to it, but I also think that's wrong. I think people need to be aware of that, and they need to be aware of what they're actually doing to a certain culture, because it can necessarily like water it down. Whether it's like, sometimes it can be good because sometimes it looks like they're embracing culture, and then sometimes it can be bad because they're just like watering it down and stuff. So I don't know. I think that's actually a topic on its own in terms of like what we can do to make it effective. I mean, we can either choose to have like a voice about it and choose to talk about it in the media as much as we can to let people know and be aware that like it's basically a form of just, I feel like they're displacing like Muslim women, but they're like picking at the stuff that they want, like the good stuff or whatever. But then also, I think in other circumstances, I'm very middle. I'm very like 50-50, because on one hand, I feel like it's like a cultural celebration, and it can also be cultural appropriation, where it's the complete opposite. So I think it's just your personal preference. I mean, I certainly kind of get angry when I see like a lot of American designers using the kufiya print in their modern kimonos, because I feel like people who choose to buy it, do they really know what that print stands for? Like do they know where it came from? And Chanel recently launched their campaign, I think it was about a year ago, and they had these leggings and this jacket that was very similar to the Hatta print. On one side, I was happy and I was proud because I feel like my culture was being like represented, but then on the other side, I slowly started to realize like, oh wait, but do they understand what this print actually means? And the actual meaning behind it, and the passion that it means to us. So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? I'm kind of interested to kind of know now. Like I kind of don't know what to think, because I'm very 50-50 about it.
Yeah, no, I think that I don't know if I'm 50-50. I just think that in terms of cultural appropriation, I don't think that as of right now, I think there can definitely be cultural appreciation, but looking at the political moment that Muslims are, and particularly Muslim women, stand in when we're talking about structural racism, xenophobia, anti-immigrant sentiment, it's that Muslim women are, specifically via policy, through social sort of responses, are being erased. And then when I see, like, particularly non-Muslim women coming in and, almost using the Muslim identity as an accessory, I find that it's almost like a disrespectful way of being like, completely erasing Muslim women and our, like, entire, diversity, right? Like, we are very, very diverse as Muslim women. And yet it's like, all right, so if you want to go rock the niqab, or you want to rock, like, the kufiya, or you want to rock, like, Muslim women's fashion, where are you at when we're getting oppressed? Like, where's your solidarity when that comes down to it? But you want to jump on it when it's cool and sexy, but not when it actually comes down to like real people standing in solidarity. Yeah. Also,
I feel like them posting a picture with the niqab or with the hijab or at the mosque, do you feel like their American followers are going to look at that and be like, oh, maybe I should be more accepting towards the Middle Eastern culture or towards Muslim? Or no, do you still feel like, no, they're totally like selecting parts of our culture that they want to showcase, and then they're like dismissing us completely? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I actually feel like that's an extension of the ways in which like Middle Eastern Arab Muslim culture gets fetishized and exotified. So it's otherized, right? So this idea of being with like mosques and women and like these beautiful like niqabs or like the eye makeup or all of that. I feel like it's just more a really weird, eerie way that doesn't really celebrate the beauty of Muslim women, but more so like turns us into like this little fetish, kind of like some kind of specimen to be looked at, but not really heard, not respected. So that's how I feel about it. I don't know, how do you feel about it?
No, that makes complete sense. Honestly, I'm really asking because I want to hear different outlooks and different points and stuff like that, and that makes complete sense. I think that even on Tumblr, you're seeing like, honestly, this like if a picture is done like this, like the photo has like 5,000 notes, automatically. So just because they do this like this thing and they like over accentuate the eyes and stuff like that. So I completely see with you on that point. And then like a part of me is like, wait, is this like kind of slowly, because you know how they say like there's no such thing as bad media, because even bad media ends up being good media. So maybe like people are slowly going to be like more into Middle Easterns and the Middle Eastern culture and this and that. But then again, I don't know. That's probably like a random theory that I probably won't even see till like later on in the years and see the difference. But as of right now, yeah, it's very clear that they are choosing to select what they want, and then they place it, and they post pictures about it, and it's just like completely just diluting everything. When we have like years and years, like centuries of history and culture to it, and then they just like simply just take it and just like modernize it.
Yeah, no, everything you said, and I think there's no like really right or wrong answer here.
No, it's so tough because it's just
like it's more of a complicated thing. But I also find it interesting how sometimes mainstream media, the images, when it is actually a Muslim woman who is wearing the hijab or a niqab, the messaging around it always is in some ways how she's internally oppressed because of it. But yet, when non-Muslim women
when they post about it and like they're wearing this eyeliner, all of a sudden it's this hot, sexy thing.
Right, it's like exotic, right? Which is
I get you.
And so I always find it interesting how we continue to take the agency of Muslim women away continuously in the way we discuss it. And even how much, like, when it comes to, so in the realm of, I'm sorry, I'm coming in from like a policy perspective here, with Muslim women, like, the only thing the policy arena wants to talk about, or mainstream feminists have wanted to talk about, is just the veil and the scarf and the hijab, right? All other issues when it comes to Muslim women, it's like, oh, that's not important. Let's just continue to focus on the hijab, and that's it, and nothing more. And it's very much steeped in always this really problematic narrative of that's inherently an oppressive identity. Not that it's something that celebrated, is something that women are choosing, and so I think all of that goes into everything you were saying. So there's a question from Nadia Awad, who is saying, what innovations can we expect with the new collection from Vela? And she said, I hope more square scarves are included.
No, only because so the future collection that we're doing, we traveled all the way to the gorgeous country of India, and we did a lot of research, and we were just embraced by so much of the fabric there and everything. So Bella's innovative technique for this collection is it's as custom as it can get. The fabric that we selected, I specifically went to the mill myself, and I was very particular because I feel like it's so hard for us to find that perfect fabric that just sits on us right and that we feel comfortable and that we can breathe in, and also drapes right in terms of design. And I found that there was a big lack here in downtown LA. I couldn't find the fabric that I wanted, so we basically went to India and we custom made our own fabric. So that's very exciting. So that's something that's very different. So we're basically taking that custom fabric and we're making your favorite staple pieces, like the zipper edge scarf and the lace scarf, and a lot of the prints that we're going to have prints, and the prints that we made, they were also made in-house at Vela. And so everything is custom made, from the fabric to the prints, obviously to the favorite staple piece of the zipper scarves, but just in a very, very, very comfortable, like, viscose cotton feel. And some of them is modal as well. And we're doing 2 separate collections. So one is like the basic collection, the zipper edge, like 8. We're going to have it in so many colors. I'm so excited. Hopefully we get to feature that soon, and inshallah it comes before Ramadan time. And then the second collection is our cultural collection. that is basically like we were just so inspired by culture itself and being Middle Eastern and also East Asian as well, right? Because India's in East Asia, right? Right?
It's South Asia.
South Asia?
Mhm.
Okay, South Asian. So good thing I asked you first. So we're taking a lot of patterns and embroidery and prints, and we're putting that into the scarf. So hopefully you guys can, hopefully when I say this and you guys finally see the collection, you can be able to connect the two together. And then our third collection is the black and white collection, where we just focus on prints, but just in black and white. So yeah, so there's like a whole bunch going on. So hopefully,
Oh my
inshallah.
God. That's
Yeah.
so exciting. Do you have like an estimated time? You said like hopefully Mashallah before Ramadan, but
Yeah.
we should be like all these designer sort of things are about to come out, so we can all kind of go shopping.
I know. Well, inshallah, I'm trying to do. Maybe I might have a better projection in about a week, inshallah. So I'm trying to get that. But once I get the date as soon as possible, we'll definitely like launch a countdown and fun stuff like that and giveaways. So stay close for that. Oh, and then we have a promo code to give away today.
Oh, good.
Right. Should you put it into the text box or
Let's see.
you can just say it?
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and say it actually? You can also say it out, the promo code, and we can tweet it out.
Yeah. So the promo code is going to go on for the next 48 hours, and the promo code is MG. So simple.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. Okay. So
That's
is it MG? That's it? Whoa.
Yeah. Literally.
All right. I'm also tweeting it out so people know.
Yeah, so hopefully they can be able to find a couple of goodies. And we're going to be restocking a lot of things soon as well.
Okay, so I'm going to say that.
Perfect.
All right, so use promo code MG. All right, and someone is also asking, what eyeshadow do you have on? It's gorgeous.
Okay, honestly, I wish I had my makeup palette with me right now because I would totally show you guys. Because normally I always get asked that question, like, what, can you do a makeup tutorial on this, and that? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do video. So now that I'm on video, it would probably be the perfect time to be like, this one right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Like, you know how they always do that?
Do the lip shade as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay, lip shade. Okay. Oh, I actually have that because, like, just in case I need to drink water.
Let people know.
So, okay, so this is Honey Love. Again, I don't know if you can see it. I'm kidding. So I put Honey Love. It's kind of this like really like matte color. I put it in the middle to do the ombre effect. And then the other one is called Heroin. It's just like really pretty purple, but based on however dark or light you put it is how the color will like transfer on your lips. And then on my eyes, it's the Tarte Palette. Look for it's called Tarte Latte or Tarte Latte. It's like this really pretty like purple palette. It's like this purple box, and it has like different shades of browns, different shades of purple, and like different shades of like light. So I have like a light color, and then I have some purple in there. And then my favorite eyeshadow I use every single day, so whenever you look at an Instagram picture, it's always on me. It's the Makeup Forever. I don't know what it is, but it's like just look for the orange eyeshadow. So I feel like orange eyeshadow looks really cool. I think it brightens up everything, and it's a different tone than brown because I feel like people always use that natural brown tone color. So I think orange is kind of cool to do as a pop-up. So I'm always wearing orange eyeshadow. Surprisingly, you wouldn't think orange would look good, but works out.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, definitely. I think you should let folks know also what shade of orange that is, because that's very pretty.
Yeah, okay. They only have Makeup Forever. Some Sephora's have it. There's only 3 shades of orange. I think I got the lightest one.
The lightest one.
Don't know the name. Sorry. But I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just whichever one looks better on your skin tone. But orange is like the best way to kind of like smoke it out. So I smoke it out with not really smoking it out because I don't have the time for it. Honestly, my makeup, I only spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes on it. So it's a good trick to fake the smoky look by just adding orange at the top of any color, and it just looks like it's fading out.
Oh, that's gorgeous. All right. Okay, so someone also had a question saying, since you said, since you and your sister are both working on Vela, how do you split up the responsibilities?
It's so easy. I think like because we're sisters, we know each other so well. Also, like, I know how much she can handle, she knows how much I can handle, and I know her strengths and she knows my strengths, and I know her buttons, but she knows my buttons too. So basically, like the way it works out is she works out. Tassim is in charge of the legal and anything legal that has to do with Vela, any documents. She manages. We have two employees that work on shipments and that work on emails. So she manages them. And she also works with customer service, and she makes sure you girls are happy whenever you guys email us. And I work on the other side, so we kind of both do business. So she kind of does the legal business work, and I do the production business work. So we're both working with numbers, but just in different ways. So I work with design, production, marketing, so anything to do with the actual product from A to Z. But what we both work on that falls under the big umbrella is that, like, the way it works out, it's like anything that we decide to do, whether it's legal or whether it's with a design, we discuss it together. So we just get each other's opinions on it, and then we go based off of that.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
I know it works out because, oh my God, you cannot do that on your own. Too much work.
It is a lot of work. So we have another question from Layla, who's asking tips on how are you focusing in terms of in college and like balancing an entire business? How do you find like work life, your passion balance? How do you do all of that?
I don't know. I literally went numb. I blacked out in my whole college years. I think you just do it. I think when you're so driven and you're very passionate and you're very happy about what you're doing, you don't really think twice about it. I would say time management and having a planner, because that's what my sister told me for like the 4 years I was in college, but I didn't listen to her. But honestly, it probably would have been better if I did time management. But I think what kind of kept me sane was just focusing on mini goals. So I would make realistic goals for myself. Sometimes it can get overwhelming because if you do have a full-time job and you are going to school full-time, and then obviously being a Middle Eastern woman, like you have your family too, and you have family roles and family responsibilities to adhere to, it can get really super overwhelming. So I think it's just really important just to take it piece by piece. Like if someone told me I was going to run a business at being 18, I would have ran away, But I subconsciously did it without me knowing, like first, okay, like how do I do a Facebook page? Oh, okay. Oh, how do I take the legal papers? Oh, okay. Oh, how do I do this and that? Like you just take small, realistic goals. And I think that in itself is, you'll be good at it. People always say, oh, how does she do it? And this is not, honestly, anyone can multitask and do it as long as if you truly believe you're going to be successful, then you will be successful. Like I'm a strong believer in that. Like if you think positive and you're surrounded by positive, and obviously as much hard work as you can do, you always have to rely back your intentions on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and just believe that he's going to make it happen for you, because nothing can happen obviously without him. And just keeping your intentions just always pure. I think it's really good to do that, because with all the insanity that's like going on and all the chaos, if you just like remind yourself of your intentions and why you chose to do what you do, you kind of feel this like you kind of feel this peace and serenity. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you can relate.
I can relate. I also wanted to know, and you're definitely managing it all, but like, do you have an estimate of how many hours you're spending on like doing Vela scarves, and like what does your week look like? What does your day look like? Just so people like kind of know like what's your day to day and all of this.
So one thing about me, I don't like routine. I hate routine. It will drive me insane if I feel like my life is being too routine. If I have to work out every day at 7, like I will no, I cannot have that. Like every day has to be a different day for me. I need to be like adventurous in both my mind, mentality, and physically. And I don't know if that's a bad thing actually, because isn't it bad to not have routine in your life? But I kind of like a little bit of chaos. But I'm very grounded in terms of knowing my goals, and I'm very grounded in terms of knowing my time management, and that I had to do it over the years, and I learned a lot of experiences through that, mainly handling Vela. It basically starts off, I kind of go to downtown LA anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week, and so that probably takes about half a day, and then my breaks are normally like an hour, but even when I'm doing the hour breaks, I'm still on my phone looking at emails. So the key is just to always multitask. Like honestly, even when I'm shopping, like I think people probably think I'm on something because I'll be like shopping through this like row of clothing, but I'm just like all my cousins like, oh, do you think this looks cute on me and we should probably try this on, and Muddle's like in the corner like, what is that? Like I'm trying to like analyze and like feel everything because I'm constantly in like work mode. So technically I can't give you an exact hour because I'm always 24/7. Bella is always going to be on my mind. It's just how I am. I'm just wired that way. But so I work during the daytime, and then at nighttime I need to clock in my India hours because they end up calling and we need to do Skype, and then when I need to oversee and approve things, or when spec sheets need to be made, I need to get on the computer and create a tech pack and a spec sheet, and on top of that working on emails, and then working on your projection goals, and then filling out your expenses on the other side. So I guess that's my day. That's not really my week, though.
Wow.
So my big picture, like every single kind of day, is kind of based around that. And I don't know about hours. I mean, sometimes you can be so effective with just 2 hours. You can get so much done, and other times it takes way longer. It takes like 6 hours nonstop. So, but I like to take my breaks.
That's good. That's good. How do you then actually take your breaks? How do you actually clock out if like you're doing so much? How do you take a break and kind of come back to this? Do you ever?
My friends help me a lot with that. So I literally like when I truly feel like I need a break and I just need to like, you know, refresh and recharge. Just call up my friends. We all just get together. We hang out, and then yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I do it. I mean, I'm sure there's other good breaks, too. I heard working out was good. But I'm like the opposite. Like, I like to work out but not knowing that I'm working out. So, like, if me and my friends will hang out, let's go on a hike. Or let's, you know, do this, and that. Or, like, let's go on a bike ride. So it's not necessarily really working out, but in a way you are. I think the best form of breaks is either surrounding yourself with people that, you know, keep you happy. Again, not necessarily they are the reason of your happiness, because that can literally destroy you. I feel like if you rely on other people to give you happiness, but I think just using their energy, you know, because to make yourself happy. And then a second thing is honestly just like prayer, and then I guess meditation. But meditation is a form of prayer. And let's see, I don't know. I like to volunteer a lot, so. Volunteer a lot of my hours because I feel like that's what makes a person feel better, when they feel like they're doing good for other people. So I'm kind of head of marketing at my local masjid. So I help them. I like go to their programming meetings and we try to put like fun programs together. ISOC, so check it out.
That's amazing. Awesome. That's wonderful. In terms of, I think someone had asked a question as well, is like, how do you define modesty? And what do you think about the term like modest fashion and so forth?
I think that's diluted already. Like there's so many different ranges of modest fashion that I don't even know what modest fashion even is anymore. And I feel like me myself, I don't know how to define modesty because I feel like I'm trying to better myself every day, you know? So my version of modesty is not another person's version of modesty, but at the end of the day, I'm wearing the hijab for myself. Like, you are not me, so you cannot tell me how I can pertain to my modesty and how I can be modest, you know? And I can't tell someone else how they can be modest. I think that's completely wrong, and sometimes I believe that, like, what people are kind of afraid of is that they just assume modesty is just tied to the hijab. Like, oh, like, she's not modest because she doesn't wear the hijab. I don't believe in that at all. You know, I think modesty has to do with the personality and the way the person, you know, projects themselves onto others and onto society. But I also truly believe that you can't rely modesty to be on hijab. Like, oh, I'm going to put on the hijab to be modest. Like, that's not a thing either. Like, hijab is a form of modesty, but I think that what people need to realize is that, like, there's that big question, like, oh, how do I know when I'm ready to put on the hijab, and maybe I'm not modest enough, and this and that. But everything is just internal. Like, this piece of cloth will not, you know, stop me from doing anything or going anywhere. type of thing. It's your mentality that's going to, you know, keep you in check, and that's going to make you like feel like, you know, you are adhering to modesty. So in terms of clothing, I don't know. I just feel like it looks like it's important because it's what people first see, so it's their projection. But I feel like deep down, it's so much more internal than that. It's so much more deeper than that. But obviously, when people first see you, their first reaction is whatever they see on you. So it isn't until they kind of talk to you, or until they get to know you, until they really realize how truly modest you are, or how unmodest you are, and stuff like that.
Amazing. So I'm going to have a couple of more questions for you.
Okay.
There's one question here about what are 3 things you would do differently if you could go back?
Oh, the what ifs. Let's see. Probably focus harder in school. I'm not really into school. I would honestly I would do the assignments and I would do everything. I would pass all my classes, but I just do it just to pass. I wouldn't really do it just because I was so into it. I think after I graduated is when I became so much more into learning, and so I think it was because I was forced to maybe write, or I was forced to study. I didn't want to, but then after I graduated, I realized like, I should have paid attention more on it. Like, and I would save all my papers, and I would notice myself like, I would open up my old textbooks and my old notes, and I would like reread it, but with like a different mind, you know, because I was so much more into it. Even though I enjoyed projects and I enjoyed writing papers, but I just didn't enjoy school in general. So I guess just like trying better at school. Third thing, there has to be something. I guess when I first did my work, I kind of should have done more research. I think sometimes I think back at it, I'm like, if I waited and I did enough research, did I start too quick? But then again, sometimes I don't like to think about that, because I feel like the way that Vela started, it was just a very like whimsical, happy, just like free-spirited Marwa, just like, you know, doing her thing. And I think that in its way set Vela apart. I don't kind of like to do what is, because I feel like you shouldn't say how it could have been, how it was supposed to be, and how I could have made it better, because that will initially drive you insane, especially someone like me, because I'm very technical. I will literally, when I make a choice or any decision with Vela, I think about it constantly. Like, you can even ask my friends. I'll literally drive them insane. Like, I'll literally pick out the smallest thing in a design or about Vela, and I'm like, okay, but what if it was like this, or how if it was like that, you know? And I feel like essentially like that takes out so much energy from you.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know, working harder.
Working harder? Oh my God, you work so hard already. I don't know how much more you would have.
No, I feel like you can still do more. You can always do more.
Do more, yeah. Make like what, 4 more hours in a day? Add like to 24 hours, make it a 28-hour day. Yeah.
I wish.
Well, I don't think you could.
Well, I could have done differently. Hire another double or something.
Hire more was okay. So there's somebody who's saying that you know, they get the impression that you probably travel a lot, and you know, you're probably very, very busy, which we can all tell you're working all the time. So what advice, tips do you have on being a busy, badass Muslim businesswoman?
Oh, hey. So what advice?
Yeah, being a badass like you.
I guess I don't know what advice. Just I guess just like live in the moment. It's like everything is based off of experiences, and so whatever you decide to do, you know, you don't necessarily like, it doesn't necessarily have to be fashion if you feel like, oh, I don't really want to do fashion. If it's like if it's like media, or if it's you know, being a part of something or starting this organization or anything like that, I think just like being in the moment and experiencing everything and just truly having fun with it, because I feel like that in itself is its own gift, you know? Like, you can't necessarily see like, oh, I see everyone else traveling and I kind of want to travel too. Honestly, I never thought I'd be traveling. I didn't start traveling till I was 24. You know, I've never really traveled the only time when I traveled was for business, you know. But what I did is that I lived in the moment. Like while I was there for business, I was also there as like an experience, you know. So just taking in both. Like even when I'm working, I love what I'm doing. So I think it's what's so important to be successful or to be a badass Muslima is just like loving what you're doing and it feels right to you, you know. Like for me, I'm just gonna like go ahead and say I just feel like there's like some people right now just jumping in on the bandwagon of like modest fashion and okay, everything is so like about pictures and materialistic things and items and this and that. When I look at fashion, I don't see it so materialistic because I think the minute I put on my scarf was the minute I became so into fashion. Like before modest fashion was modest fashion, like I would be that like freshman girl like that would picked up every issue of Vogue and I would like line them up as like an actual like library book like showcase it because I didn't look at fashion as being so materialistic. I looked at it as an outlet, as an expression of myself, and I was intrigued by the actual science of garments and how different fabrication works and how it makes a person flow and feel. So because I had that passion, I feel like alhamdulillah I was able to become successful with Vela. I didn't even think about doing Vela. I didn't even think about doing fashion until I started Vela. Like, how's that? Like, I was so against, like, going into the career fashion that I was like, oh, everyone's a nurse, so let me be a nurse. Like, that's literally how I saw it. Like, okay, let me do nursing. Even though I knew with all the freaking professor office hours that I was going to, I was not going to pass that class, like, for the life of me. But I just did it because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. So my advice to you is don't do something because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Like when you see all these like Instagram bloggers and things on Tumblr and all this fashion, like don't think, oh, I have to be in fashion because everyone else is into fashion, because I tried to do that myself and I was completely wrong in my vision and in my path. And what I truly found out later on in my bio lecture class is that my calling is truly being an entrepreneur and pursuing the fashion industry. My thing is just like find what you're good at and just do it. I think it's so important, I think, to actually have Muslim girls being involved with media, because we're always talking about media and how media looks at us a certain way and how media does this and that. I think it's like so cool. Like why not work for a certain station, or why not work for a certain like Broadway production, or why not work for MTV, like something like random like that, like that puts more Muslim women and men into the actual workforce where we can actually influence how people do view us and perceive us and stuff. And that's so much fun on its own. Or like PR and like advertising and marketing. Like there's so many things that you can go into that I honestly like. I'm all for it, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I went off on a tangent there, but
no, I think that's wonderful. I think a lot of people want to hear all of that.
Yeah.
So some of my last questions to you. So somebody wants to know whether Vela would actually go and become a physical store in the future that we can look towards, so we can go physically shopping. Do you have any plans for actually growing Vela in that way, so it becomes an in-person thing as well?
Vela will, inshallah, be inshallah, it will just keep expanding and it will keep growing, and soon you will be able to see it in stores and it be tangible. Currently, as far as Vela opening up its own store, I always liked the idea of having a studio with a storefront, so people are open to visit and come see the Vela team and me, and also come see the scarves and purchase whatever they want. So inshallah, that I have thought about that, and that is in my near future. Mm-hmm. And then currently, inshallah, we'll see how far Vela goes.
Great, wonderful. So last question to you, in terms of where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully still doing Vela. That's such a scary thought. I don't have a plan B. I put all my eggs in one basket, so I mean, hopefully Vela. And then if Vela doesn't happen, then I'll probably start up a men's collection in Vela, and I'll call it Vela just to keep Vela going. But yeah, hopefully, inshallah, see myself in 10 years. I would like to make a difference. I would like to make an impression on Muslim women. Hopefully, get a bigger audience to come and join me and be a part of us. Hopefully, I don't know. I want to do so many things, like both collectively and personally. I want to feel like I'm doing enough personal work too, because I think it's so important for us to like volunteer our time and for us to, you know, find a way to help out each other. Hopefully in 5 years I would help break down that stereotype of Muslim people bashing other Muslim people, because seriously that has got to stop. And inshallah, just have Vela grow as much as we can, and me and Tassim will just keep going at it.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. That's an awesome, positive note to end up on. So I want to thank all of the amazing viewers that tuned in. Your tweets, I've been following them. Thank you. Please keep the conversation going. Do you want to put any, Marwa, in terms of like your hashtag, your Twitter, or your Twitter handle, or your Instagram, or any other kind of like where your website is, just so that people know, in addition, the promo code that please use?
Okay, yeah, of course. I'm going to be tweeting about the promo code one more time, and then I'll definitely kind of sneak it on Instagram if I can. I'll probably post it underneath the comment of the last photo that I posted. Instagram is Vela Scarves, and the website is velascarves.com. And I mean, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on how well we did together in conversating and talking. So just use the hashtag MGMarwa and like let us know like the feedback and what you guys thought of it. And thank you so much for making this so easy for me, because you made me feel so comfortable, and I'm just like everything breezed through.
Oh, please. And I want to thank everybody that was sending in amazing comments and questions. I mean, this is what it's about. It's just a discussion. We're just having it on via Google, but still, we would have been chilling, having some coffee or some ice cream or whatever, and we would have been having a discussion. So thank you again, everybody, for tuning in, and definitely check out muslimgirl.net. And also follow Muslim Girl on Twitter and on Facebook. And Muslim Girl's Room will be back next month. All right? So take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Salams.